Welcome to Tampa Hackerspace. This presentation covers everything you need to know as a new member. Most importantly, we'll cover your privileges and responsibilities as a member, other important details, how to best communicate with the board of directors, with other members, how to open and close the hackerspace. But first, let me apologize because a lot of the stuff you're going to hear sounds kind of preachy. It's stuff you're thinking, I'm probably aware of this and have known about this since kindergarten, and although we wish it could go without saying, apparently it doesn't. Every slide here has a history, and it's something we've actually dealt with at the space. So, yeah, I'm sorry, I won't apologize again, but understand this is important information. We have two levels of membership. We have sponsoring members at $100 per month or $1,000 per year, and regular memberships, which are $50 per month or $500 per year. All members get 24/7 access with a key once they've completed some necessary steps. We do kind of offer some limited memberships for people who aren't on a regular payment plan, but they are not keyed access members and they're somewhat restricted. To become a keyed access member, you must complete this new member orientation. At the end of the orientation, there will be a link to a Google document with a quiz. You'll need to complete the quiz and score 100% on it to move on. It's important that you understand all these details because we're handing you keys to a facility with lots of expensive tools. It needs to be opened and secured properly, and for that, it's important to know the details. You do need to also complete your member application and the release forms, and we need a copy of your driver's license or state issued ID. Now please note on the member application we are asking for your social security number. We reserve the right to do background checks on members. We don't always do it, but in cases where we feel it's necessary, we do want to reserve that right, and so that's the only reason we use that information. These are some companies we've either done business with, have sponsored us. We use their products around the space. We like them for one reason or another. Just lots and lots of great stuff going on with these companies. They work well with us. We work well with them. So you'll see their stuff around, and if you are interested in learning and obtaining tools, a lot of these places are places where we'll go to shop for them. So Tampa Hackerspace is actually legally a nonprofit corporation in Florida, and our corporate name is Inspiration Labs, Inc., and our Tampa Hackerspace is a DBA. We didn't actually understand when we first set it up what our plans were, and we didn't know whether or not we would be opening one space, opening many spaces. We didn't have a good vision going forward initially, so we came up with a somewhat general name and then decided Tampa Hackerspace was a great identity. We also obtained a 501c3 tax exemption, so all donations that are made to Tampa Hackerspace are as tax deductible as donations to any other public charity. Check with your CPA if you're not sure if you can make tax deductible donations to anyone, but if you can, we can certainly accept them. Because we're a public charity, that means essentially that we get all of our funding from the memberships, the small amount of class revenue we get, and some grants and donations that we receive. We don't have a single benefactor or underwriter that provides any significant amount of funding, so by definition that makes us a public charity. Now it's very important when you sign the release form, there's a couple of statements I want to pay particular attention to. The first one, that this document includes a release of liability which releases Inspiration Labs and others related to it from liability for personal injuries and other losses resulting from the participants' use of the Inspiration Labs facilities and equipment. Please make sure to read carefully. And participant further acknowledges that I take complete responsibility to research, study, and practice proper safety prior to participating in any program. I further acknowledge that I am solely personally responsible for my own safety when participating in programs. So, in a nutshell, what this means is that although we offer safety and usage training for most of the tools in the space, there is no possible way we could ever address every way that you could hurt or maim yourself in our workshops. We have lots of tools that can be dangerous if misused or treated improperly, and it's important that although we cover the basics and trying to address the most important considerations, you need to make sure you go and learn what you need to learn to use our tools safely and use them wisely. Great example always comes to mind is a lawnmower company who gentleman decided he was going to um, trim his hedges. So he picks the lawnmower up, and of course, as soon as his fingers go around the body of the lawnmower, there goes his fingers. And I guess to this day, that lawnmower company's probably got a statement somewhere in their lawnmower that says, "Do not use to trim hedges." But I'm sure they could not have anticipated that until somebody actually decided to do that. So please know that you have to be responsible for your own safety and your own behavior. And we provide guidelines and we provide safety equipment, but you need to use it. You need to be responsible for using it properly. If you have any questions about using a tool or you're unsure about whether or not what you're doing is safe or prudent, then you should stop what you're doing, find somebody more knowledgeable, ask some questions, go online, do some research, talk to people, call the manufacturer if you need to. They have tech support, and get some answers to your questions before you proceed. As far as family memberships go, if you have adults in your household, you can add them to your membership for $25 a month. Now that makes them a member in their own right. They have all the privileges of membership. They can take the orientation, they can have their own key, they get to vote on things that we vote on, and we don't treat them any differently from the primary member. We just are offering a discount for families with adult children or spouses where the family wants to participate. A couple of important details though, you have to reside with the primary member, or if you're an undergraduate student and you're away from college, when you're in town, of course, your membership is valid. Um, we don't really care if you're actually married. We don't tell people how to live their lives, but we do want people in a legitimate relationship. We're trying to avoid roommate situations because roommates are not couples. Let's face that. Children under 18 are actually included with the membership, but they're not members. So the adult in the family must be present when the kids are present. The kids are restricted from accessing tools in the warehouse area, anything that's not air conditioned, or the machine shop. And they are expected to obviously behave appropriately and not be disruptive of other members or any classes that are in session. Members are responsible for their children. So, as a member, you also have access to guest passes. So, a regular membership, you get one guest pass per month. As a supporting member, you get 4 guest passes per month. Now, these guest passes are use them or lose them. You need to use them by the end of the month or they expire. You cannot save them up and have a big party for Christmas at the space, for instance. Because they're guests of a member, the member must be present when the guests are using the facility. Also, if the guests are going to be using any of the tools, the guests are expected to have completed the safety and usage training. They must also fill out a liability form. So, really important details. The liability release can be printed from the laser computer printer. On the laser computer itself, on the desktop, you'll find it in the bottom right corner, and you can print from there. The tools and equipment that we offer include a laser engraver. We have numerous 3D printers. We have various CNC machines, a machine shop, a shop bot, a nice wood shop, a lot of hand tools and electrical tools. We ask that you take care of everything. This is a community space. Everybody shares in the use, and we want you obviously to enjoy the use of it, but the last thing we want to do is take away from other people's enjoyment and use of the space. So Please take care of everything, clean it when you're done. Stuff breaks, we understand that. Please don't just tuck the breakage away and hope nobody notices or leave it for the next guy to deal with. Let somebody know. We can't get it fixed. We can't repair stuff if we don't know it's broken. Things happen. We understand that. We have member storage available right now. We've given up the pallet space for supporting members, but supporting members do get a bin of storage included with their membership. Anyone else can rent a bin for $5 per month. It's payable annually on the Square marketplace page that we have for class payments and so forth. If you have a large project you need to store short term, you can do that as long as you clear it with a board member first, because space is very limited, so we want to make sure we're not overloading it and creating safety hazards and blocking exits and so forth. But temporary large project storage is available, but again, check with the board or a board member first to get somebody to approve it. So a lot of the stuff we get as donations is not just cash, but we also get a lot of hardware. Some hardware we can recover and repair, and if it's usable by us, that's great. If not, we'll donate it on to other charitable organizations like hospice. Anything else that's left over after that, we have teardowns. And after the teardowns are done, there's lots of interesting and useful parts we find. Motors and fans and just a number of different things. So what we've done is we started sorting those into our hackable bits area. So we have marked bins for each of these types of items. And as a member, you're welcome to help yourself to any of the hackable bits. They're part of your membership. All we ask is that you don't hoard stuff. You see this really great part. Oh my gosh, that's something I really use someday. And you grab it and stick it in with your stuff. That's hoarding. If you have a legitimate use for it, take it and use it with our blessings. But if you don't have an immediate use, please leave it for somebody else who might. Also, if you happen to see something particularly valuable, even with your intentions are good and the money will come back to the space, don't say, hey, this is worth $200 on eBay. Let me go sell it on eBay. And even if you're going to donate the money back, we would rather it be available for a member to use, and at a certain point when we decide that it's no longer worth keeping around, we can make the decision to sell it online to generate cash. If you find something particularly useful or valuable or something that saved you some money on a project, throw a few bucks in the jar as a thank you for the volunteers who took the time to tear these things down. They're fueled by pizza. Pizza's fueled by donations. As a member, we do love to get little donations for different things. You'll notice there's two different donation jars in the space. One's in the kitchen and one floats around in the main workroom. We use those donations to replenish snacks, sodas, any consumables around the space. We use the donation jar, and that's working well for us. It's been working good for about 3 years since we started. Pizza's powered by donations, as I already mentioned, but those donations are very, very important to us because they help us deal with all those little bitty expenses that would just overwhelm somebody trying to keep track and account for every dollar. So that we use those donations as a petty cash fund, essentially, but because it's not entered into our books directly, we're able to make things happen, get things done, and it doesn't require anybody to become the master of the pennies. You have to keep in mind that all of our work around the space is done by volunteers. Even the board of directors are all volunteers. We don't get paid to be on the board or to manage the space or do any of the things we do as the board. And when we're at the space, we'd like to work on our projects as much as the next person. So having to be there and dealing with micromanaging pennies or micromanaging volunteer hours or any of the dozens of other things that require or could require tracking, we just as soon use an honor system and ask people to do the right thing. And if you have a soda, throw your buck in the jar. And if you have some pizza, throw a couple of bucks in for your slice. And you use some filament, throw a buck in so we can buy new filament when we need to, and so on and so forth. If you happen to see we're running out of paper towels and you can bring some paper towels in, that's fantastic too. There's lots of ways that you can be excellent and help us be excellent. Number one is making sure you understand and adhere to the bylaws, rules, and the member agreement. We have those posted on our website. If you look on the website, you can find member documents, and it's a Google Drive folder full of all the important documentation. It tells you what your rights and privileges are, and it's all spelled out very, very clearly there. Treating everyone in the space with respect. Again, cleaning up after yourself is probably the number one thing. Um, if we could throw out all the rules and just say one thing, it would be never take any action that would take away from somebody else's enjoyment of the space. So anything that could fall under that, just keep that in mind as a guiding principle. Um, being making positive contributions to the space. So we ask all members to provide 4 hours of volunteer time per month. Again, we're not tracking that because we don't have anybody as being all volunteers that wants to keep track of everybody's hours, and we do that on the honor system. But it's important to us because all the projects around the space get done by volunteers. And there's lots of ways to volunteer. We'll cover that in a little bit. Taking out the trash. We have trash pickup every Wednesday. Nobody's mom is working there as a custodian. We don't have hired custodians. It's up to us to clear the trash out. Trash can gets full. It's got stinky garbage. It's got food remnants. Please, when you see it's full, take it out, put a new bag in the can. For the tables in the main workroom, when you're done at the end of your time, before you leave, your table should be clean. You shouldn't have left behind Coke cans or scraps of wire or anything. The table should be completely cleared when you're done. Tools and materials should be put back where they belong. Everything has a place. Know where its place is, put it back where it came from. That way other people know where to go to find it. Lots of people come in looking for assistance, especially on open make nights. So on open make nights, or any night, if somebody's looking for help, and you can help them and you're able and willing to do so, please do. That communal effort really goes a long way to help build some camaraderie and helps people get value from the space. Now, the one caveat we have with that is if somebody's working on a commercial project, they're planning to patent it or they're planning to turn it into a business or they're doing it for some commercial purpose, all we ask is that when they make the request, they disclose that it's a commercial project. Most people don't care, but it's important that you disclose it so nobody feels taken advantage of. It's a matter of courtesy. Everything else you do, just think common sense, right? You don't need everything spelled out, but if you just apply some common sense, a lot of stuff goes easier. We also use Smile on Amazon. So Smile is a program they have where 0.5% of your purchases are donated to the charity of your choice. And what's great about it is you don't actually have to do anything to make that happen. It works perfectly with your Prime account. Doesn't cost you any extra. They're not adding the 0.5% to your purchase. It's totally free to you. Benefits us, and it's not a huge amount of money, but we get a $30, $40 check every month or so, and it, every little bit helps. So if you go to smile.amazon.com and choose Inspiration Labs as your charity of choice, if you haven't chosen one already, we would certainly appreciate it. And if you're running Firefox or Chrome, there's a really small little plugin you can download that automatically puts you on the Smile page anytime you go to Amazon. That way you don't have to remember to start at the Smile page when you start shopping, which is what has to happen when you go to make your purchase and give us the benefits. We also have a wiki on our website. It's a wiki. There's lots of stuff that can be added, lots of details that can be added. We try and make a page for every tool we have in the shop. We have pages for projects. We have lots of stuff and lots of information. Always need some help keeping it up to date and adding details. So here's some of the big things that we've had to deal with these are real important things to be aware of. These cause us problems in many ways, and you want to be extra particularly sensitive to these. So using tools in an unsafe manner, um, being using tools without having been signed off on the tools, chronic mess making without cleaning up after yourself. So, every once in a while, people are in a hurry, they don't clean up as thoroughly as they could. It does happen, that's reality. But when you're leaving that mess, every time you're in there, somebody's cleaning up after you, and that's taking away from their enjoyment of the space. It's taking away from um, other people. And so you really, really need to be conscious of that. You cannot live here. You must have some place to go residentially where you can sleep and poop and shower and all the stuff you need to do that you shouldn't be doing every day, all day at the space. Monopolizing shared tools. Some great examples. On the laser engraver, just about any job you could possibly do on the laser can be done in an hour in a typical fashion. If there's people waiting and you've got 6 hours of work queued up, take a break, let them slot in, get their job done, and then go back and work on yours again. 3D printers, we have 4 of them. If you've got 20-hour jobs printing, and that happens because that's the nature of 3D printing, great. Don't tie up all 4 printers with 20-hour jobs. Tie up one printer and just queue the stuff serially, or if you really need to get it done and there's nobody else there, 2. But leave other printers available so other people can step up and do their stuff as well. Not reporting broken tools. Stuff breaks. There's wear and tear. Things wear out. Tools get dull. Things happen. Please tell somebody. We can't fix it if we don't know it's broken. It's just really sucks to go in and expect to get a project done. You need a certain thing and you find it, not working, and then you kind of ruined your day. So please let us know. When you get into our Slack channel, there's a broken channel. You can just report that stuff in, or you can send an email. Obviously, we don't want anybody doing anything criminal in the space, and I'm not going to get more specific than that, but if you're breaking the law, you're not welcome to do it at our space. And then in that vein, but just we're going to say it explicitly because a lot of people don't understand the rules. If you're managing or manufacturing NFA, National Firearms Act, restricted items, you are breaking the law. So be sure you understand that. Repercussions could include restricting usage on tools, restricting access on space. We could suspend the access to your key, for instance. Suspend you or terminate your membership if it becomes something that becomes intolerable. Please don't smoke. That includes anything you're puffing, including e-cigarettes, vapes, medicinal marijuana, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't belong in the space. You want to smoke anything, take it outside. Again, it's a community space. Okay, for parking, let's talk about that. The green areas in the map are our parking spaces, including this one here that's considered shared parking for the entire building. However, the rental car company has pretty much taken this entire area over, and it's just about impossible to park there. So, at risk of making a big deal, we pretty much have not worried about it. But when we do have big events, then we let them know and ask them to clear that space so we have additional parking. The orange areas are areas where you could park after hours and weekends. So our neighbor Jay, who has a gourmet food business, he's never there on the weekends or in the evenings. Our neighbor to the east, they've all pretty much left for the day at about 5 o'clock, and we've seen 1 or 2 of them show up on weekends in a couple of years. This far building to the west, the next block over, they're generally gone. And even the building across the street from us, after hours, it's fine to park there as well. However, the one that's diagonally across where Casper's is, the McDonald's people, they have a big "we will tell you" sign. We haven't tested it, but we believe them. So do not park there anytime. Also, the rental car company, their hours, they have 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, so you really can't park there. Now, the only request we have is a couple of the businesses, when they do show up on weekends, they need access to their loading docks. So if you can avoid parking in front of their loading docks, especially Jay, he's made that special request. We want to be good neighbors. Try and avoid blocking loading docks. So for consumable stuff, again, remember, we're trying to do all of this through that donation jar. So like, for instance, with 3D printer filament, if you're just occasionally printing small things like, very irregularly, consider it a perk of membership. But if you're doing some moderate use, you're using the printer fairly regularly, not necessarily big jobs, but constant use, and throw a few bucks in the jar every once in a while. The filament's not expensive. It's $25 for $30 a spool. It's a kilogram per spool. Pick up a couple of 3D printed objects. You realize how light they are, but we do want to keep a variety of colors and choices available, so the donations help keep that going. If you're using it heavily, if you're printing your own 3D printer, or using it to print, significant amounts of prototypes, and you're going through and burning spools of filament, a 3D printer can print. If you're printing a 3D printer, you could be printing a kilogram and a half over a couple of weeks. Please throw enough money in the jar to either replace the spool or bring in a new spool. That's great too. Same with the laser cutter, the vacuum former, the CNC, the wood shop. All of that is bring your own materials. So with some of those tools, we have some scrap available. Next to the laser is a bin with scrap wood. And if you have a small project, you'll probably find a piece in there where you can carve out enough area to get your project done, and the scrap's freely available. Again, if you are so inclined, throw a buck in the jar to thank whoever left it. Same with refreshments and food. Throw $1 in for sodas. They're in the fridge on our system. We do pizzas on Tuesday nights, and it's work days and some special events. A couple of bucks a slice is about what it costs us, so we try to just break even on those. As long as we're able to continue replenishing this stuff from the donation jar, we're happy. Nobody's got to keep track and micromanage. For the drinks, if you don't like what we're stocking, instead of donating money to pay for drinks, bring in something you like. Just bring in a case of, whatever your favorite beverage is, and throw in the fridge and treat that as your donation. I'm sure other people would probably appreciate the variety. So, want to distinguish between reimbursable things and donations. We have a couple of people who are shop stewards for different areas. So we've got a person designated for the laser, for the 3D printer, for the machine shop, for the wood shop. They have budgets they're working with, so they have the opportunity and the ability to spend money on those workshops, turn in receipts, get reimbursed. And as long as they're staying within their budget, we don't second guess what they're spending their money on, as long as it's appropriate to the area they're working in. However, other people, if you see, we needed toilet paper, I went to Sam's Club and bought $50, here's a receipt, can I get reimbursed? You need to check ahead and double check it with Alex, our treasurer, because it doesn't work for us budgetarily to have people walking in with receipts saying, hey, can you pay me for this? If you want to be reimbursed for something, you need to get that approved before you go and make the expense. If you're making a donation comes with no strings. So don't donate it and then later say, hey, can I offset my membership with it? If it's a donation, it's a donation. So we appreciate those, but please understand that they are donations, and we treat them as such. So a lot of materials donations that come in, people want to say, well, I want to donate, but I want it to be used. I don't want it to be scrapped. We can't take stuff with strings attached, because if you can imagine 20 different things being donated, everyone with a different condition, and us trying to keep track of all the rules people have imposed on us for those donations, it becomes impossible. So any donations we take, we ask that they be donated, no strings attached. We'll, of course, try to honor the spirit of the donation as best we can, but ultimately, if we have better tools or we're upgrading, stuff might get donated on to another organization, it might get scrapped, it might be rated for parts to build a new machine. Things happen. We do what we think is best for the space and kind of do that communally. A couple of companies we work with give us discounts. So Tandy Leather Factory, they are on, the address is actually wrong. They've moved. They're just south of 301 and Adamo now. But they give us a discount. You just tell them you're a member of Tampa Hackerspace, and they ring us into the thing, and discounts happen. SparkFun and Adafruit, we have online ordering with them. So what we actually do is we set up a spreadsheet in the member documents area. Just add your stuff to that. Put in the description and part number, the quantity you want, and the retail price, and we'll go research our discount as a wholesaler. And what we do is we split the difference with you. So if it's a $50 item and we can get it for you for $30, you'll be paying $40. So that gets us covering shipping charges and credit card charges and all the expenses, sales tax, all the stuff that we have to deal with for those items. But you still get a nice discount, so you end up paying less, and we do group orders pretty regularly with both of those companies. If there's something you need urgently, just don't just put your stuff and wait for somebody to notice it. Post in the Slack channel and say, hey, I'm trying to get an order together for SparkFun, and usually everybody will jump on it, and stuff gets done really quickly. Worst case, if there's stuff we need to order for classes, we'll fill the order with class materials so that we can get to our minimum order and get stuff done. But if somebody hasn't noticed that you've entered stuff after a day or two, just post something in Slack so that one of the board members can go in and do the wholesale pricing, and we can figure out what the costs are. Once we place the order, you can pay by check, you can do a PayPal transfer, or you can just hit our donation link. We do occasionally do group projects, so we've got a couple of group projects ongoing right now. We talk about them at our member meetings. If you want to put together your own group project, anybody can do that. So if you have an idea for a project you'd like to get some other people to participate, you can announce it at our member meeting. We can actually put you on the agenda and give you some time on the floor. You can bring it up in Slack. You can pitch people one-on-one, whatever you think. Now, obviously, we don't want you being annoying about it, but if you talk to people and it's a great project, get a team together, that's awesome. We generally don't fund group projects, and there are exceptions. If the project's going to end up staying with the space, like the Power Wheels Racer or the pop-up escape room that we've been working on, those things will be taking to shows and showing people, and so the space is helping to fund those projects. But if you've got something that's a passion project for you, whoever you recruit, it's going to be up to the members of the group to fund your project, right? So you have to figure that out. The only reason you would need to talk to the board of directors to get permission to do a group project is we do have some materials that are reserved. So we've got some donated items or items we've acquired over time that are particularly unique or valuable. We want to make sure they go to a worthy endeavor. So if you want access to any of that, you need to clear that with the board member. If you're looking for funding for your project because you feel like it's something we could benefit from and use somewhere, that would be something you need to get approved. Or if you have people outside of your group, outside of the membership, who need access to the space to participate in your project, you would need to get permission to do that, obviously, since you've got a limited number of guest passes. And then once you get your group together, if you need to start scheduling for meetings, just let a board member know and we'll work you into the meeting schedule on Meetup. We do a lot of classes every month. They're actually pretty diverse. We have our tooling classes, which are free for members, and nominally there's a nominal cost for non-members for most of them. Some of the classes are only available to members. We don't allow people that are not members of the space into the machine shop or the wood shop, for instance. We have skills classes on anything from soldering to leatherworking and software training, lock picking. There's lots of neat stuff. So all of that's done through Meetup. If you go to our Meetup page, you'll see everything we offer. We usually tell you a little bit about what's going to happen and how much it costs. Like I said, the tooling classes are for the most part free. The only exception right now is the machine shop has a shop fee, and it's not tuition, but it's a fee to pay for upkeep of the machine shop. It's a one-time cost of $60. That's the current number. If it changes, we'll make announcements. If you're a supporting member of the space, the tuition, even if it says it's $5 for members, you would get that no charge for the tuition. Now keep in mind you'd still be paying for materials, okay? So the $60 upkeep fee or the cost for the project, if it's like soldering class, you're building a Minty Boost, it's $20. You'd still be paying that, but the tuition would be waived for supporting members. Regular members, if it's not a free class, always get a discount off the non-member price. And if you want to teach a class, we're always looking for great skills and interesting things that people can bring to us. What we have is a short form you can fill out. It just helps us with the logistics for the class size, topic, any materials needed, so on and so forth. But teaching classes is a great way to volunteer. It'll help can go towards your 4 hours per month, and classes you could teach range from stuff that you know and can share skills about, or any of the core classes like the 3D printing or the laser. We always are looking for good instructors for those so that we can spread the load around a little bit. So in our main workroom, we have some basic etiquette rules. First and foremost, there's 5 tables in there, and we get busy sometimes. You probably don't need 2 tables for your project, so when the people start showing up, please consolidate and try and reduce your footprint in that room so that other people have room to work. Always clean up before you leave. And this is about the 3rd time I've said that, but it's really a key thing. Leaving a mess is not polite to other people, so please don't leave with the expectation that other people will clean up after you. Time restrictions on equipment. We don't enforce hard restrictions, but we do ask that you are considerate and let other people slot in if you've got big projects going on. Music, if I'm there by myself, which rarely happens anymore because the space has gotten pretty busy, I'll crank the music up and I'll play it loud. But as soon as somebody comes in the door, even if they like the same kind of music I like, I'll put on headphones because they may not want to listen to it at the same time I'm listening to it. So it's just courtesy. If you're going to be listening to music and there's other people present, please put on headphones. If we're having a class in the main workroom, don't make a lot of noise and be disruptive. Don't have a loud conversation in the other half of the room. And we ask you to not use the laser cutter when there's classes going in that room because it has 2 different fans that are very noisy going. Please don't leave dirty dishes around. There's a couple of times where I've found dirty coffee cups. At one point, one of them was 4 weeks old, still sitting in the sink. Nobody had gotten around to cleaning it. It basically looked like a biodiversity experiment. I'll be honest, at that point I threw it out. I wasn't even going to consider cleaning it. Clean up after yourself. If you have dishes, put them away, throw them away, clean them up, whatever you need to do. We do recycle, particularly aluminum cans and metals, so please be aware of that and don't throw stuff in the garbage that can be recycled. We're trying to be a little bit earth conscious friendly. All right. These are our board members. So you'll see us around the space quite a bit. We handle all the day-to-day operations in the space. So any contracts like our lease or dealing with insurance or dealing with the county and the city or dealing with grants and paying the bills and scheduling stuff and all the day-to-day stuff like that that needs to be done are handled by one of us. We also provide strategic direction for the organization. We set the rules and the guidelines. We establish the membership. We handle the meetings, the member meetings once a month. So that's all the stuff that we do. To email the board, if you send an email to info@tampahackerspace.com, you will get an email at once. One single email will go to all 5 of us simultaneously. Now, understanding we are still volunteers. None of us are paid staff, so we will do our best to respond to you as quickly as possible, but it's not always going to be immediate. So please understand that that is the way it works, and understand too that you may not get the answer that you want, but we'll try and get the right person to respond in a reasonable amount of time. There's the email address again. If you try to call us, this is our number that we publish. It's a Google Voice account. It does not ring on anybody's cell phone. It always goes to voicemail. So if you call it up trying to reach one of the board members or trying to reach somebody at the space, if there's no phone where it rings, you will get voicemail. If you hang up and call back, you will again get voicemail. And the fun thing about it is, if you leave a voicemail message, Google does its best job to hilariously translate it into a text message, and then it emails us at info@tampahackerspace.com, where we get to try and decipher your message. So it takes longer because usually we can't read the message because it's hard to understand and it's not necessarily English. Or we can listen to the audio recording, which means we have to deal with that. info@tampahackerspace.com. It's quicker for you if you email us rather than leave us voicemail, just so you know. But we'll get the message either way. We also have a member-only Slack channel. So as soon as you pay your membership fee, you'll within a day get a membership invitation to our Slack channel. And once you're in the Slack channel, we have well, it's a Slack team, I guess, but you'll see channels set up for all the different workshops, a lot of the different projects, a lot of different interest group kind of stuff. You can jump into any of those. Once you're set up as a member, we'll also invite you into a private member channel that's only open to paid members of the space, and there's a hidden channel for that. But it's probably the number one way we communicate with each other. So it's basically IRC on steroids. There's a lot of discussions going on. People are in and out of there throughout the day. You can scroll back and see what you missed. You can ask questions there. The broken channel is there if you find something broken or needing to be replaced, or we're running out of toilet paper and posting broken. Hey, we're running out of toilet paper, and people, stuff gets handled. But Slack is probably our go-to for most communication. So definitely recommend you get signed up on that as soon as you get the invite. And it's a good way to also kind of get a fit sense of who everybody is, because you'll see the kind of stuff they post, and you'll get to know people that way. When you're opening the space, we have three pieces to the security puzzle. So there's a keypad with a deadbolt. There is your key card that gets you through the door. And then if you're the first one in the space, there's an alarm system. So you'll need to unlock the door, badge in, and then turn off the alarm if you're the first one there. Okay? Here's the alarm code, 3145. We ask that you keep the air conditioning between 72 and 78 degrees when you're there. When you leave, please reset it to 76, okay? We have a couple of dehumidifiers around the space. If you can check around and see if they need to be emptied, because what happens is once the little bucket underneath them gets full, they quit running because there's a shut-off switch. So if you can check those when you get there, especially in the summer, that would be great. Now we're going to give you a more thorough walkthrough of the space as part of your orientation, but it won't be part of this. So we'll have one of the board members walk you around, show you where all the light switches are, and actually show you the how to unlock the door and everything, and give you the other codes. And at that point, you'll get your key card issued. When you're locking the space up, we keep this checklist on the back of the door as well. But just so you know what we're asking people to do, this is assuming you're the last person to leave. We want to make sure all the tools are unplugged. We don't like saws left plugged in. Somebody bumps the power switch, and next thing you know, the blades are spinning. We have two doors to the warehouse area that go to outside, the back and the front. Usually only open the back door for ventilation, but the rolling door up front can be shut and not locked. We want to make sure we check those. Anything with a heat source should not be running when there's nobody at the space. So soldering tools, the laser cutter, most of the 3D printers. The only exception is the one that doesn't have a heated bed plate, the Delta Maker. So that's the only one that can run unattended. We have a heat gun. Don't leave it plugged in. It can turn on and boom, there's a fire. It lasts out about 400 degrees. Make sure the garbage is out, get all the lights turned off, adjust the air conditioner, set the alarm, swipe your key to disable the magic key. Now, the key card is right by the front door inside that window just to the left of the door. So we have this feature called a magic key. When you badge into the space, it unlocks the door for 5 seconds, and then you'll hear it click when it relocks the door. But we have this special key that any board member can use, And when you badge with the magic key and then a board member badges behind it, instead of relocking the door, it leaves the door unlocked. So we do this on open make nights, or if we're having a big class, or if we're having some public event, we don't want the front door locked so people can come and go easily. When you're leaving, if the magic key was set, it's going to stay set for an extended period of time, and it will not unset until anyone, doesn't matter who they are, badges on the alarm on the card reader. Anybody that badges will automatically unset the magic key. So that way, if the last person leaving isn't a board member, anybody can reset it and turn the magic key off, which locks the front door. So you want to make sure the magic key is not set. So just simply swipe your card. It's not necessary for security, for technical reasons, but it is a security thing to make sure that it's not left unlocked. Locking the deadbolt, which is just a single button press. And we don't have to worry about the municipal garbage can anymore because we've upgraded to a dumpster, so we've gotten rid of that task. I should alert everyone that we do have cameras around the space. They're recorded 24 hours. When there's stuff going on that somebody feels needs attention, then they may be monitored as well. So just be aware of that. We have two panic buttons around the space, plus the alarm panel can function as a panic button as well. So we'll point them out when we do the physical tour, but understand this about the panic buttons. They are silent alarms. You hold them for 3 seconds and the police will show up looking for trouble. They're assuming you're being robbed or held at gunpoint or something serious is going on. Okay, so you need to understand that nobody's going to call, nobody's going to check on you, the police will just show up. Okay, so they're serious. On the alarm panel, there are panic buttons for police and medical. If you're in the workshop and you gouge your arm and cut an artery and you hit the panic button, police will show up. They're going to look at you and say you're bleeding to death, and then they're going to call an ambulance, and that's just going to delay a response. So the panic buttons that are around the space are not going to do medical. They're just going to give you a delayed response for medical. Call 911 or go to the front, and the alarm panel's got a medical button. And you hit the medical one, works just like the police one. They will dispatch medical, like I guess an ambulance or paramedics or whatever. We've tested all the buttons. We haven't actually tested to see the response times, but we've tested them with the alarm company, and all the buttons are live and active. So don't think you need to test them or goof around with them. We have Wi-Fi in the space. The key's also written on the whiteboard in the top right corner, but it's here if you want to go ahead and jot it down or get your Wi-Fi set up on your laptop. So that's pretty much it for this presentation. You're going to go now to a Google form, and you're going to fill out a little quiz, and we're going to check and see how well you paid attention to me droning on for 48 minutes. And once you've done that and we get a notice of that, we'll get you set up with the rest of the orientation. We'll get you the key card, and we look forward to having you at the space. Thank you. So that's pretty much it for this presentation. You're going to go now to a Google form, and you're going to fill out a little quiz, and we're going to check and see how well you paid attention to me droning on for 48 minutes. And once you've done that and we get a notice of that, we'll get you set up with the rest of the orientation. We'll get you the key card, and we look forward to having you at the space. Thank you.